Hello, it's me, John Jacobson with Picture Michigan. Today it's the art fair and a little bit of copyright.
I got you filming the video. I'm in a public place here, buddy. You know they're gonna put here. We actually rented this spot. You gotta learn what the hell your rights are.
Hello, I'm John Jacobson, owner of Picture Michigan, founded in 1998. If you know me well, you know I'm a photographer. If you knew me when I was younger, you know I had an early career in radio broadcasting. You're watching this video right now, so you know I make videos. All of my life, I have been directly involved in various rights of expression and intellectual property.
You gotta learn what the hell your rights are, buddy.
Spike is not being very clear here. We need to know which rights. My rights with a camera in a public place are about the same as my rights with my eyeballs in a public place. I mean, of course, there will be exceptions. But at that particular moment, at that particular spot, the law was simply on the side of anyone with a camera wishing to photograph. Here are a few exceptions that will or may apply to you depending on where in the United States you are. You may not incite a riot. You may not compromise national security. You may not be lewd. You may not be an obstacle, such as setting up a tripod. And you must respect the privacy where there is a reasonable expectation of privacy, such as a public restroom or a locker room. What about a playground in a public park with children? Completely legal. Okay, yes, I get it. I'm a dad. I get the creepage factor here. It's, for me personally, just because it's legal doesn't mean you should do it. That's where I personally draw the line.
You better learn what the hell your rights are, buddy.
Maybe Spike means copyright? What about copyright? What is it? Copyright is the protection of created work exclusively assigned to its creator. It must be original, it must be tangible, and it must be creative. The word creativity, not really part of the official copyright code language. In fact, the legal term is substantiality. Think of its root word, substantial, and this is a criteria that judges use when they hand down decisions. Now, think of a William Faulkner novel. That's substantial. That's copyrighted. Woody Allen makes a film, and he uses one line, one short sentence from an entire William Faulkner novel. The Faulkner estate sues, and Woody Allen comes out on top in that lawsuit. Lack of substantiality. One sentence, a small group of words cannot be copywritten. Intellectual property laws and copyright laws, not so easily summarized. Think of it as a large, complex flowchart, lots of criteria, lots of exceptions to be made, and then to further muddy the waters, a lot of misinformation on the internets. Now, I'm in the business of buying and selling intellectual property. So naturally, I research it when I need to, and then I study it recreationally. Yes, I know, I'm a geek. Everything I'm saying here, I have double-checked all the facts. And I have to disclaimer here, there will be gaps. This is a summary and a few definitions, a few hypothetical examples here. I'm not an attorney.
You better learn what the hell your rights are, buddy.
Now, I can't say I've actually been assaulted while photographing, so let's try and give Spike the benefit of the doubt here, and let's just pretend we're a couple of grown-ups here having an open dialogue. What rights? Maybe Spike means right to privacy? So, right to privacy. Let's get that one out of the way here. Right to privacy is not a constitutional term. It's just a term. When you're in a public place, there is no reasonable expectation of privacy, whether you're renting a space in a public park or you've purchased a ticket to a Michigan State football game. Touchdown, MSU! Obvious exceptions on the other extreme are within your own dwelling. You do have privacy. Doors locked, curtains drawn. The Army cannot come and commandeer your home to house soldiers. That's a founding fathers thing that was carried over from the old days. But you've heard of illegal search and seizure. That would be considered a right to privacy.
You better learn what the hell your rights are, buddy.
Copyright is your right, your authorization with your created work to duplicate, to distribute, and to perform publicly or display publicly. Therefore, copyright violation is the unauthorized duplication, distribution, public performance, or display. Pretty much 100% of this art fair video, it contains material, copyrighted material, owned by somebody else. Enter fair use. Without going into too many details, let's randomly look at some random social media post, randomly posted by some guy randomly named Johnny B. Random.
Got a new cassette deck in the Plymouth. Time to record my vinyl to tape and get my inner boogie child.
So there are three potentially unauthorized duplications here. We've got the copyrighted logo on the record label, copyrighted logo on the t-shirt, and that fabulous piece of artwork on the wall. The duplication of these three items squarely fall under fair use. It lacks substantiality in this particular depiction, a selfie. The record company, the apparel company, they know better. They've got huge legal departments. They know what fair use is, and they also see potential promotional opportunities here. They're not going to sue Johnny B. Random. But what about the little guy? Without a legal department, right? Now, let's say Johnny B. Random purchased this fine art print from Spike at his art fair booth. We already know how Spike feels about photographing his stuff. Spike decides, hey, I'm gonna sue this guy. He can't be taking photographs of my stuff. So that's okay. Spike's entitled to file the lawsuit, and Johnny B. Random will come out victorious on this lawsuit. Except everyone's a loser here with regard to time, money, and added stress. Let's dig a little deeper here in the context of an art fair. Purchasing a piece of artwork at an art fair, such as this print here, does not give you the copyright to it, nor does it give you the right for duplication. In this instance, let's say Johnny B. Random gets the boneheaded idea to make a duplication of this print because he wants one in his office and one in his living room. And then he goes and brags about it. Look at me, two for the price of one, beating the system. And then Spike finds out about it. Boy, I gotta tell you, in the world of copyright, if every T is crossed properly and every I is dotted, Spike's going to win that lawsuit to the tune of 6 figures. If at the art fair you are selling t-shirts with unauthorized, unlicensed logos such as Aeropostale, or let's call it a baby blanket, obviously it's Mickey and Minnie Mouse, unlicensed, illegal, that's a copyright violation. Now the one I know you've all been waiting for, what about Johnny B. Random's stack of vinyl being recorded to cassette tape? Provided these are legally purchased originals, and provided this is for personal and private use on his cassette deck in his Plymouth, perfectly 100% legal. Sure, there are legal implications and acceptabilities to photographing in public, and then we've also addressed the copyright issues. But we really should also address common courtesy. While I was doing research on this, I was able to learn a lot more about the inner circle of art fair exhibitors and vendors. And I gotta tell you, there is legitimate intellectual property and copyright theft going on there. People will sneak into a booth, they'll take a picture of somebody's artwork, and then they'll upload it to their artsy site, and next thing you know, they're selling illegal t-shirts and coffee mugs with somebody else's stolen material. I can understand why some vendors are a bit leery about cameras. When I'm walking around with a camera doing my thing, I do get some really inquisitive looks. And as I was going through the raw footage for that video, I did see a few really inquisitive looks from some vendors. However, for the most part, those that I had interacted with and dealt with, pretty much almost everyone was very easygoing about me. In a public place, putting up a no camera sign is about as enforceable as putting up a no old people allowed sign. For many people, enjoying life is enjoying life with a camera. That would be me since I was a young child. That would be me making this video of the art fair. I want to show off this art fair. I want to show off my hometown. And I love showing off my home state. Unfortunately, there are thieves out there. I totally get it. I myself have been a victim of very willful copyright theft. I get it.
You better learn what the hell your rights are, buddy.
In the instance of Spike, in the instance of his, shall we say, enforcement of his no camera policy, it's, as far as he knows, I was just going to take a picture, send it off to my wife, because there was a bunch of things I wanted to buy, but with her approval. Ka-ching, no sale. Thieves are going to steal. And unfortunately, there are those that don't really understand what they're doing. The misconception of copyright violation. That was on there. I saw you. You're on the internet. Perhaps a gentler way of expressing your concerns is, instead of the prohibition of cameras, maybe do a little education on copyright. For instance, say something like on a sign, hey, these creations are my babies, and copyright violation is like kidnapping my babies. Most aren't interested in willfully stealing copyrighted material here. Consider posing in a photo with them. They're fans. They just want to post something on social media. Ask them to tag you back in it. I think we've covered enough here under this context. Time to wrap it all up. Stay tuned after the credits. We'll discuss our next linked video and maybe a few more items on copyright, filling in a few of the gaps. As artists at an art fair in a public place prohibiting photography, isn't that really counterintuitive to what we all stand for? Expression. That's how that's done. I am John Jacobson for Picture Michigan. Remember, keep pulling that trigger. The recommended video I want to throw out at you here, it's going to be Kai and famed street photographer Eric Kim. They're in Hong Kong. I don't know what the laws in Hong Kong are. They seem to be somewhat similar to the laws here in the United States. The video is linked in the description. About 15 minutes worth of great entertainment and some lighthearted education. And it's also a Leica camera review. A lot of things that I just could not cover in the course of making the main part of the video is regarding what constitutes a public place. For the context of this exact video, what I was referring to are public streets and public parks. Now obviously at the other end of that spectrum is your private residency, your dwelling, your home. And then there are a lot of them in between the two extremes. A public mall is privately owned, and yet there is no reasonable expectation of privacy. Public schools, almost certainly off limits. I mean, if you're at a basketball game, photograph the high school basketball game by all means. I mean, a hospital is, again, another rather unique example of a very public place, and a place where there is a relatively and reasonably high expectation of privacy. Now, as far as copyright ownership goes, if you are working for an employer owns the copyright. And then be careful of if you are working freelance. The boogeyman to all freelancers is the term in your contract, work made for hire. Have a lawyer look at that for you. Yeah, okay, so you legally photographed a bunch of stuff and a bunch of people out in a public place. What you do with it is an entirely different set of laws. So after the fact, I did see Spike's no camera sign. It was cleverly disguised as a no parking sign. So it's, I mean, when I'm out there and I'm photographing or I'm videotaping like this, I'm in the zone. I'm not looking for no parking signs. Frankly, I'm not looking for no photo or no camera signs. As far as no camera signs go, I frankly don't even remember seeing that many, and even as I was going through the raw footage. However, I did see a no camera sign outside of a photographer's booth. If you are a photographer selling photography at an art fair and you have a no camera sign, I have an opinion for you. And it's a lot. I'm not sure if you can see them back there, but they're scary. I know, they're fine art, right? They're going now. They're going. They're going. Look at them. Look at them go. The fine art photographer's paradise. Look at this. Look at this. They're frickin' rodents. And they're all over the place. These are as rare as the dodo bird in New Zealand. Or, I'm not sure what that thing is. I wonder if people hate penguins like we hate seagulls. Well, I mean, technically, people here seem to love seagulls, and they think, ooh, fine art, the rare seagull. I must photograph it and sell it at the art fair and call myself an artist. And since I'm all silhouetted here and all you see is the sunset, let's just enjoy the sunset view. Just hope I can find my car. I want to show off this art fair. I want to show off my hometown. And I love showing off my home state. No, wait, that's not my home state. You know, that's just the Lower Peninsula. That's Michigan decapitated. I know Michigan's shaped kind of funny. You think to yourself, yeah, how am I going to fit the Upper Peninsula in it? I know you think the Upper Peninsula is a burden. How do you think they feel about you? It's like Canadians complaining about Americans coming to Canada while they're sipping their Mai Tais in Miami, Florida.